let's move on to the next iteration. In the previous one, we onboarded iOS application, and now we have the very first build on a test flight. And I guess you can expect that in this one, we will onboard the Android application. I'm expecting that this session would be faster because the process would be kind of similar. We would need to update the icon, to set up signing of the application, and add workflows and fastlane implementation for Android, which would be very, very similar to what we had previously. That's why probably by the end of the session, I will update the release pipeline, and we will make the next release to automatically create 3 different applications out of the single code base. Let's move on. I will use the helper file. I don't think that it contains any secret information, and even if it does, I will explain each line. First thing first, let's update the icon because it was created by the template and we still have the default multi-platform icon. Resources, and we are removing everything. Icons on Android are a little bit tricky because they want to support different manufacturers that have icons in circles, in rectangle with rounded corners. Different versions have different styles. That's why Android has come up with adaptive icon, and Android Studio has a nice tool to generate correct setup for all versions of Android. What I need to supply is just 2 things: the foreground and background layer of my custom icon. Let me do this. What is this? This is the foreground. It was generated with LLM. This is desktop. Yeah, I'm playing Age of Empires too. Background here, I could let it be PNG, and the color, we'll see, we'll match the color. Finish. Now it created a lot of okay, let's look. Okay, color. So now we need supply, and then probably it will fix it. Copy. And the error went away. Nice. Let's close it. Let's close it. The next one, the signing. Before signing, we would need to have a dynamic version injection, and it would be similar to what we did with the build config. We would expect that someone from the external source would set the Gradle property, and our Gradle build script would pick it up. Whether it's set from the CLI or from the Gradle properties file or from the environment variables, we don't care. It's important that it should be set. Then the sign-in config. There are multiple ways how we can sign the Android application. So like we can sign directly from a fastlane, but just in order to have more flexibility, I'm not sure whether I want to sign only from fastlane. Maybe I want to sign myself, or I want to check if everything works. I will create the sign-in here explicitly, and then use it. Ideally, we would like to flip this property is minify enabled to true, but then we would like not only minify the source code but also shrink resources and make sure that everything works correctly with respect of like reflection or intermodal communication. So maybe some ProGuard rules has to be adjusted as well. It has to be done, but we will address it later. Right now, we are laser focused to onboard the Android application. Let's try to build it. Build, Android app bundle, everything is set, release. Okay, something failed. Preview. This is still a leftover from the template project. Let me go here. Yeah, the debug implementation. We definitely want preview only during development, so we don't want it to release. And from what we see, the template correctly created the dependency only in debug build variant. There are multiple ways how we can solve this. I will show the wrong way. So we can just make this implementation to be applied in all of the variants, but we definitely don't want the preview functionality in the release build. It's useless. That's why don't do it. I don't recommend it. There is another, if you really want to use the preview functionality, then you can create the special set of the source code that is using the preview API and keep the preview annotation only in that debug scoped source code. Then it will not end up in the release one. But right now, and since the day before yesterday, Kotlin Multiplatform has a nice feature which is called hot reload, which means that you can update the compose code and the running application will update the UI on the fly. And we're going to use it in the next iteration when we actually update the UI. So I will not use the preview. Let me remove it and remove everything which is related to the preview usage. Command Shift O. That's it. Synchronize. And let's build the application again. Now it's building. If we wait for a few seconds, yeah, it built successfully. We can make a first commit. Let's call it Android. What do we have? What's the unversioned file? We don't need this. Let's add it to the ignore. I think everything under the release folder should go away. Okay, update Android icon. Commit. That's good. Now let's move on to the GitHub workflows and the fastlane file. The same. Let's create the workflow that will publish to the internal track on every push to the main branch. So we always have an access to the very latest application built out of the source code, and briefly go over it every time we push, and in case the content changed or it was triggered manually, we will compute the version and we will ask our template, which doesn't exist yet, and we will create it right now in a few moments, and we'll ask to publish it to the internal track. Now let's create the template. If you remember, the template for iOS was a little bit complex, because we had to create the temporary keychain and install all of the provisional profiles and certificates. For Android, it will be simpler, but similar. So it accepts two parameters, the required parameters. First one is the version, the next one is the destination with the lane. So like internal, alpha, beta, production. These are the standard lanes in fastlane, and in Android Play Console it's something like internal, close testing, open testing, and production. It requires secrets, less secrets, but still some are there required. And then the same, we decode the key, we decode the JSON that works as the access token to bypass the second factor authentication for Play services. Then we install environment variables to sign the application, and then we ask to build the Android application and publish it to the Play market by fastlane. That's it. Now, time for to update the fastlane. The first one, the basic Appfile. Our application will have the same package name, and we will install the JSON to access Play services here. Now the Fastfile, it starts from the iOS, and we will just add everything below the iOS for Android, and then we will go in details to see what it does. So what it does the same. It fetches the very last build number that was uploaded before. There is a difference that for Play Store we can look at just one number in TestLite. For Android we can publish in different tracks, and if you, for example, published to the internal with a build number 100 and then to alpha 101, and then you want to publish to the internal again, it should be even higher than 101. So the number should be more than the maximum out of all of the tracks. That's why it has some logic that we check the latest version from each track, and then we took the maximum. Nothing special. Then we sanitize like we sanitized in iOS, and then we build the release version. The signing was set by the template here by the environment variables, and the version name and version code would be set by Gradle properties. That's the main function to build the application. Then we upload to Play Store, and there are multiple lanes where to upload: internal, alpha, beta, and production. That's it. It goes smoothly so far. Then I think we can even update the release pipeline. We already have something, and we did the very first one, nil, the release. Now let's have the updated version. Not much changed. A lot of things has been added, but didn't change. So in addition to deploying web to production, we are deploying iOS and to Android. I still deploy to the TestLite upload, not to production, and here I'm deploying to alpha, which states for close testing, because I'm missing some organizational moments in App Store and the Play Console that I need to click, fill in some forms and stuff. yeah, I'm quite good at engineering, but filling forms is not my strength. Also, for Android, I need 12 real testers. So if you would like to help me to get to that number so I can enable open testing and production, please reach me out and provide your email so I could add it. How to reach me? I think it should be clear. We're gonna make the deployment right now, and the production version of our lovely site would contain the social links in the footer, and they are perfectly working. Just click on it, one of three that you would prefer, either it's LinkedIn, GitHub, or X, and just send me a message. Yeah, let's update automation for Android. Let's go. Now we can create the release. Oh, pull request. Once we create the pull request and it satisfies all the quality checks, and I'm expecting that it will, because we didn't touch the code, we only removed the preview functionality, and I clicked the control option O to optimize the imports. So I think the Kotlin should be happy. Even if it's not happy, we're going to fix it. That's not a big problem. I already installed all of the secrets. Yeah, so now we have a lot. Some for Cloudflare, some for iOS publishing, some for Android. But it's just something that's required. Sometimes you just comply to the requirement. How our checks are going? I think they're going good. Once the pull request is merged, which is going to happen in a few moments, we should see a few pipelines to be triggered right after the merge. And the CI as an extra check. Deploy to web. I think we can be smarter and put some filters, because nothing actually changed in the compose shared module to update the web. And we started publishing Android to the internal tracks. And as you can see, the iOS pipeline wasn't triggered. Everything is fine. Everything is under control, just because we put the nice filter, publish the iOS application only in case some logic, some UI has changed. Nothing was changed from iOS perspective. That's why it wasn't triggered. Everything is okay. It will take some time, like 2-3 minutes. So let's use this time as an outro. This iteration, I think, would be a milestone. Milestone because we achieved already a lot of things. First, we already can create multiple applications out of a single code base. That was the initial promise. I will onboard the desktop and CLI application a little bit later, but already the mainstream, mobile and web, iOS, Android, they are there and they're using the same source code. Second, it's happening in automated and very comfortable process. First, we always have an access to the latest version of our functionality with these CI deployments on every push to main, and also we have a dedicated release pipeline that will immediately create the production version of our tree application in automated way. Usually, in my experience, these things are happening in professional companies by different teams, by multiple people that work with different source code, the code bases, that work with different programming languages and have different infrastructure. We were managed to build everything under the same roof, and that's a great achievement. Technically, now I can just work with some lovely LLM that I prefer, either it's like Cursor, Claude, what's now in trend, OpenCode, and just fix the compose, make some beautiful application out of it, and then I will immediately have an access to 3 different platforms with a single code base. It's way easier than just going, update my web application that was written with Laravel or Tailwind or I don't know how many frameworks are there, or update this iOS application written with SwiftUI UIKit in Xcode, and now update my Android application written in Kotlin. So even with LLM, it would be quite a hassle. So this is actually really nice foundation. Let's see. For Android, usually it goes faster, and we already at the stage to upload to the fastlane. So I'm expecting this workflow will be finished in a few seconds, and then we will create our official release. As I said, when I was building this infrastructure, the only challenge that we have about creating the release is finding the correct moment, because we can create the release at any moment of time. And I think now it's good. And also we need to think what kind of the version would it be. We didn't break anything, so like I would still stay with number 1 as a major version, but releases, where is it, draft new? But we onboarded new products, so probably the minor digit should be changed. We onboarded 2 products. Let's make 102. Because I want it that way. I want it that way. Publish the release. This is it. This is the whole complexity of creating the release. Few clicks of the button. And now we can look at how the release pipeline is looking. It's evolving and it's looking really, really nice. So it computes the version, it extracts one to nil. Yeah. Passes it forward to the actual deployment jobs. Then we start through 3 jobs in parallel to deploy to web, to iOS and to Android. Once all of them are done, we will make the release. I will not wait till the end of this pipeline because iOS will take 15 minutes. But everything will work. Now it's not even hope, now it's confidence. That's why let's move to our Git history and look at what we done. Beautiful.